Some places hold more than just memories. Some places hold the dead. The old hospital stood at the edge of town, silent, forgotten. Its broken walls had seen too much pain, too much loss, too much death. And at night, when the rest of the world fell asleep, this place woke up. People whispered about it. Strange sounds, moving shadows, things that had no explanation. Some said it was just old pipes and broken wires, but others believed something darker lived inside those crumbling walls. His name was Arjun, a young doctor, still learning, still hoping. That night he was finishing his shift. His eyes were heavy and red from too many sleepless nights. But the exhaustion on his face was not just from work. It was deeper than that. It lived in his chest, in his bones, in every quiet moment he could not escape. A year ago, he lost her. Seema, his younger sister. She was brought to this very hospital, suffering from a disease no one could name. Arjun fought for her. Night after night he stayed by her side, reading reports, calling specialists, refusing to give up. But in the end, it was not enough. She slipped away quietly, in a room that smelled of antiseptic and sorrow. And Arjun never forgave himself. Not for a single day, not for a single moment. After she died, something in him changed. He stopped going home early. He stopped resting. He buried himself in work, staying in the hospital long after everyone else had gone. Sometimes he would walk to the older, abandoned sections of the building, where no one else dared to go. He told himself he was just working, but deep inside, he knew the truth. He was looking for her. He could feel her there, somewhere in the silence, somewhere in the shadows. He just needed to find her. But the nights in this hospital were never truly silent. Sometimes when the lights flickered and the corridors emptied, the silence would shift. It would breathe. And then slowly, it would whisper. Just barely. Just at the edge of hearing, Arjun would stop walking. His skin would prickle, and a cold feeling would crawl up the back of his neck. Something about this place felt wrong. Not just old, not just abandoned. Wrong. That night he had a task. There were patient records he needed from the old record room. A small, forgotten room, buried deep inside the oldest wing of the hospital. A place that even the staff avoided during daylight. At night, no one went near it. No one who wanted to sleep peacefully afterward. On his way, Nurse Priya stopped him near the corridor junction. She looked at him the way people look at someone they are quietly worried about. "You look exhausted, Arjun," she said softly. She had watched him change over the past year. The laughter was gone. The ease was gone. Something heavy had settled in its place. Arjun gave her the same answer he always gave. "I'm fine." But Priya shook her head. She lowered her voice. She told him about the record room. Strange things, she said. People had seen things there, heard things. There were rumors of a wandering soul, restless, lost. Arjun forced a small smile and told her it was nonsense, just old building sounds, just imagination. But as he walked away, his fingers tightened around his torch, and somewhere inside him, something was not so sure. The corridor leading to the old wing was dark and cold. A wind came through the broken windows, slow and low, like a long breath being exhaled. Every footstep Arjun took echoed back at him, louder than it should have been. He felt the darkness pressing in from both sides, and then came that feeling, that specific, horrible feeling. The one that tells you without any reason you can name, that you are not alone. He stopped walking. Up ahead, at the far end of the corridor, he saw it. a shadow, faint, brief, sliding along the wall. His heart jumped hard against his ribs. He raised his torch and looked again. Nothing. Just the empty corridor. Just the broken walls. He exhaled slowly. His imagination, he told himself. Just his tired, grieving, guilty mind playing tricks. He had not even reached the record room when the security guard stepped out from a doorway. Vikas, a heavy-set man with cautious eyes. He blocked Arjun's path and asked firmly where he was going. When Arjun told him, Vikas shook his head slowly. "That area is not safe at night, Dr. Sahib." He spoke carefully, like someone choosing each word. Then he said it. A girl had taken her life in that part of the hospital, years ago. And her soul, he said, had never left. It still wandered those halls, searching for something no one understood. Arjun looked at him steadily. "What kind of things?" he asked. Vikas told him. Lights turning on and off in rooms that had no power. Sounds of children crying when no children were around. A woman's voice, whispering in empty spaces. Arjun said nothing for a moment. Then he thanked Vikas and walked past him. But his pace had slowed, and his hand was gripping the torch just a little too tightly. Vikas watched him disappear into the darkness, and quietly, under his breath, he prayed. The door to the record room opened with a long, low creak, a sound that seemed to wake something up. Arjun stepped inside. The darkness here was different from the corridor. It was thicker, heavier. The beam of his torch cut through layers of dust floating in the still air. Spider webs stretched across the shelves like old curtains. Towers of yellowed files sat in crooked stacks, each one holding the stories of lives that had passed through this hospital. And there was a smell. Strange, rotten, like something left to decay in the dark for a very long time. He moved carefully, scanning the shelves with his torch, and then he heard it. A whisper, low, close, as if spoken directly beside his ear. He spun around. His torch swept the room. Nothing. Nobody. Just the dust and the dark and the silence pressing back in. He stood completely still, his breathing loud and uneven. His mind told him it was the wind, the building settling, an echo. But his body did not believe it. His body wanted to run. Then the sounds began to layer. A soft creak of footsteps from somewhere above. And beneath that, faint but unmistakable, the sound of a child crying, distant, hollow, wrong, and then, threading through it all, a woman's voice, whispering something he could not make out, in a tone that made the hairs on his arms stand straight up. Arjun pressed his back against a shelf. The fear was no longer something he could argue away. It was rising through him like cold water, filling every space inside. Then the file fell. It came from a shelf across the room. No wind, no movement. It simply fell, hitting the stone floor with a crack that split the silence like a gunshot. Arjun lurched backward, knocking into a shelf behind him. His torch shook in his grip. He stared at the file lying open on the floor. And something cold moved through him that had nothing to do with temperature. This was no longer imagination. This was something else. He could feel eyes on him, not from one direction, from everywhere, from the walls, from the ceiling, from the dark spaces between the shelves, and then something else. Something so subtle it was almost worse than the sounds. A feeling, like fingertips brushing the back of his shoulder. Light, gentle, as if something were reaching for him. Arjun's breath stopped in his throat. His whole body went rigid, and in that moment, in the middle of all the terror, a face came to him. Seema, her quiet eyes, her soft voice. He had always felt her in this hospital. But now, in this dark room, with these sounds and these shadows and this cold pressing in from every side, a new thought entered his mind. One that was somehow more terrifying and more heartbreaking than all the rest. What if she was here? What if she was one of the ones who never left? He ran. He did not decide to run. His body simply moved, pushing through the dark, past the shelves, through the door, back into the corridor, his footsteps crashing and echoing around him. He ran until the air changed, until the darkness thinned, until he was back in the lit part of the hospital. Breathing hard, his back against a wall, his heart pounding so loud he could feel it in his ears. He stood there for a long time. Slowly, the fear did not disappear. It transformed. It settled into something harder, something determined. Arjun looked back down the corridor toward the dark wing. He knew now. This hospital was not just old. It was not just broken. Something was here. Something was trapped. And his sister had died here, of a disease no one could explain, in a hospital full of secrets no one wanted to speak about. He was going to find out the truth. All of it. But what Arjun did not know yet was that the truth had already noticed him.